The story of the Princes in the Tower, Edward V of England and his younger brother Richard, Duke of York, remains one of history's most tragic and enigmatic tales. This narrative is filled with royal intrigue, political maneuvering, and questions about the nature of power, loyalty, and betrayal. Set during the turbulent period of the Wars of the Roses, the prince's disappearance in the Tower of London left a void not only in England's monarchy but in the psyche of the English people. The debate over their fates endures, sparking endless speculation and historical analysis. This essay delves into the historical background, examines the theories surrounding their mysterious fate, and considers the broader implications of their story on the understanding of medieval power dynamics and succession crises. The historical context of the Princes in the Tower. The Wars of the Roses, a series of dynastic conflicts between the houses of Lancaster and York, had thrown England into chaos for decades. After Edward IV seized the throne in 1461, the Yorkist claim seemed secure. However, the fragile peace he brought to England unravelled upon his sudden death in April 1483. His heir, Edward V, was only 12 years old, leaving the kingdom in a vulnerable position. In such circumstances, the young king's uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, became Lord Protector to oversee his nephew's guardianship and governance. Soon after Edward IV's death, however, suspicions grew around Richard's intentions. The young Edward V and his brother Richard were lodged in the Tower of London, ostensibly for their protection before Edward's coronation. However, they were never seen publicly again after the summer of 1483. By June, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, had been crowned Richard III, claiming the throne for himself. Allegations emerged suggesting that the princes were illegitimate, rendering Edward ineligible for kingship. This narrative provided Richard with a legitimate pathway to the throne, albeit one mired in controversy and suspicion. Richard III, the chief suspect. Richard III is widely viewed as the primary suspect in the disappearance of the princes in the Tower. His assumption of the throne and swift coronation fuel suspicions of foul play. Chroniclers of the time, particularly Sir Thomas More, painted Richard as a cunning and ruthless figure willing to eliminate any obstacle in his path to power. More's depiction, however, is contested due to its likely bias, given More's allegiance to the Tudor dynasty, which succeeded Richard. Richard's motives were clear. He sought to consolidate his power and eliminate any claimants who could challenge his authority. With Edward V alive, even under Richard's guardianship, Richard's own position would always be tenuous. Additionally, as he had already declared the princes illegitimate, Richard's rule would be challenged if they remained alive. The implication is that Richard had the means, motive, and opportunity to dispose of the princes. Nevertheless, no conclusive evidence exists to definitively link Richard to their deaths. Henry Stafford, Duke of Buckingham, a plausible alternative. Another prominent figure implicated in the disappearance is Henry Stafford, Duke of Buckingham. Buckingham was a close ally of Richard III, playing a significant role in the machinations that led to Richard's ascension. He also benefited from Richard's rise, receiving substantial lands and titles in exchange for his support. Buckingham's ambitions, however, extended beyond his initial loyalty to Richard. By October 1483, Buckingham had rebelled against Richard, aligning himself with the Lancastrian cause, which sought to overthrow Richard and place Henry Tudor on the throne. Buckingham's motivations remain unclear. Some historians suggest he might have seen an opportunity to eliminate the princes independently of Richard and then pin the blame on the king, creating further instability. In doing so, Buckingham could have paved the way for his own ascension, or at least positioned himself as a powerful figure under the incoming Tudor regime. His rebellion was swiftly quashed, and he was executed before he could reveal any knowledge of the prince's fate, leaving open the possibility of his involvement. Henry Tudor and the Tudor propaganda machine. With Richard's death at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485, Henry Tudor ascended to the throne as Henry VII. The Tudor dynasty faced an immediate challenge to secure its legitimacy and undermine Richard's. The legend of the murdered princes played directly into Henry's hands, as it allowed him to cast Richard as a usurper and a child murderer. Henry had little incentive to clarify the fates of the princes. Their mysterious disappearance only strengthened his claim. Henry's reign saw the production of propaganda that vilified Richard III, painting him as a deformed tyrant and regicide. Much of the negative characterization of Richard III can be traced to Tudor-sponsored works, such as those of Sir Thomas More and later, William Shakespeare. However, Henry VII's lack of a clear investigation into the prince's disappearance raises questions about his own involvement or knowledge of their fate. If the princes had been alive when Henry took the throne, they would have posed a direct threat to his legitimacy, suggesting that Henry may have had little interest in uncovering their whereabouts. Later attempts to solve the mystery. The mystery of the princes in the Tower has captivated historians, writers, and the general public for centuries. In 1674, nearly 2 centuries after their disappearance, workers renovating the Tower of London uncovered 2 small skeletons buried under a staircase. These remains were reinterred in Westminster Abbey, where they rest today, and were long assumed to be those of Edward V and his brother. However, scientific analysis of the bones has been limited, and conclusive identification remains elusive. Modern historians have suggested that the skeletons could belong to other individuals, leaving open the question of their true identities. Several historians and writers have attempted to solve the mystery through research and analysis. The 20th-century historian Josephine Tay argued in her book The Daughter of Time that Richard III was innocent and that the princes may have survived or been killed by another party. Alison Weir, a prominent modern historian, supports the theory of Richard's guilt but acknowledges the scarcity of definitive evidence. The lack of documentation, contemporary accounts, or forensic proof has led many to conclude that the mystery may never be resolved with certainty. The broader implications of the prince's disappearance. The fate of the princes in the Tower serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that accompanied medieval kingship and the ruthless nature of political power in the period. The vulnerability of child monarchs, particularly those without strong protectors or alliances, was repeatedly demonstrated throughout European history. In the case of Edward V and his brother, their disappearance highlights the precariousness of succession in a time when political loyalty was fickle, and the stakes were life or death. Furthermore, the story of the princes illustrates how historical narratives are shaped by those who wield power. Richard III's reputation was systematically destroyed by Tudor propagandists, a practice that underscores the importance of scrutinizing historical sources. This manipulation of narrative served as a lesson in the construction of public perception, laying a foundation for future political propaganda. Conclusion. The tragic tale of the princes in the Tower remains one of history's most enduring mysteries. Their story, filled with familial betrayal, political ambition, and royal intrigue, encapsulates the brutal nature of medieval politics. The figures who surrounded the young princes, Richard III, Buckingham, and Henry Tudor, each had their own motivations, leaving historians to speculate on who bore responsibility for their untimely end. While no definitive evidence has emerged to solve the mystery, the impact of their disappearance on English history and the legacy of Richard III is undeniable. The prince's fate remains an unsolved puzzle, a reminder of the perils of monarchy, and a tale that continues to intrigue scholars and the public alike. The princes in the Tower stand as symbols of innocence caught in the crossfire of ambition, their tragedy forever woven into the fabric of English history. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Medieval Chronicles 1066 for more captivating insights into medieval history. Until next time, stay curious.